Now, in this video, we will going to discuss about the shear forces and bending moments. So in that, first we will going to take the types of beams, the loads and reactions. First we will going to take up the type of beams. So beams are maybe classified as number one, straight beam and curved beam, then horizontal, vertical and inclined beam, and statically determinate beam and statically indeterminate beam, and finally it is the cantilever beam, simply supported beam, fixed or built-in beam and overhanging beam. So first we will take up the straight beam and the curved beam. A straight beam is one whose axis is along a straight line, then it is called a straight beam. Example, a building frame, electric pole, brake lever, etc. are the examples of straight beam. If the axis of the beam is curved, then it is called the curved beam. Then it is, for example, it is the arches, chain hooks, crane hook, etc. are the examples. Then the second part is, the second type of beam is the horizontal beam, the vertical beam and the inclined beam. If the axis of the beam is straight and horizontal, it is called horizontal beam. For example, the building frame, the beams of bridges, etc. Then if the axis of the beam is straight and vertical, it is called the vertical beam. Then for example, it is the electric pole. Then if the axis of the beam is straight and inclined, it is called the inclined beam. The example for this is the ladder. Then the next classification is the part 3, that is the statically determinate beam and statically indeterminate beam. If all the reaction components can be calculated by applying the 3 conditions of static equilibrium, that is, sum of the vertical loads should be equal to 0, sum of all the horizontal loads which is coming on the beam is equal to 0, and sum of the moments which is coming on the beam is equal to 0, then it is called the statically determinate beam. If the number of unknown reaction components exceeds the static equilibrium conditions, if the number of unknown reaction components exceeds the static equilibrium condition, then it is called the statically indeterminate beam. The point number 4, the type 4, which is cantilever beam, simply supported beam, fixed or built-in beam, overhanging beam and continuous beam. So first one we're going to consider as the cantilever beam. A beam fixed at one end and free at the other end is called a cantilever beam. That means here in this condition you can see one end of the beam, this is the beam, one end of the beam is fixed and the other end is free, and then it is called a cantilever beam. Then the second type is simply supported beam. A beam with a pin or hinged support at one end and a roller support at the other end, or both ends or roller supports, is called a simply supported beam. A beam with a pin or hinged support at one end is a pin or hinged support, and a roller support at the other end and the roller support at the other end, or it can be both the ends, you can have the roller support, then it is called a simply supported beam. Then we have a fixed or built-in beam. If both ends of the beam are fixed or built-in walls, it is called a fixed beam. So that means you can see one end is fixed here and the other end is also fixed here. So both the ends are fixed or built into the walls, then it is called a fixed beam. Then we have a overhanging beam. if the end portion of a simply supported beam is extended beyond the support. If the end portion of a simply supported beam is extended beyond the support, it is called a overhanging beam. This beam is simply supported at points A and B, but it also projects beyond the support at B. So that means if you are considering this point as capital A and this as the capital B, so here one end of the portion is pinned and the other one has got a roller support, but it also projects beyond the support at the point B, then it is called the overhanging beam. Then we have the last one, which is a continuous beam. A beam which is provided with more than two supports, that means you have one end is pinned and the other two are with the roller supports, which more than two supports. You have one support here and we have another support here, and then we have the another support here. So there are three supports. It is more than two supports, then it is known as continuous beam. So this is how the beams are classified into different types. In the next video, we will going to take up the types of loads acting on the beam. Thank you.